The first time I met my girlfriend's mother, of course, I was very, very nervous before meeting her for the first time. I met her and she was pretty happy, because I was working as an engineer, so it was considered very good, But she was also a little bit disappointed because at that time I didn't speak any Chinese. So after this, I went back to Sweden, I quit my job as an engineer, and I moved to Taiwan and I started to study Chinese full time. And the second time I met her, I've been studying so much, study, so I was actually able to speak a little bit Chinese with her. So she's very happy now, I'm speaking Chinese. But she was also a little bit disappointed because I was not working as an engineer anymore. Okay, so what can I do? It's very hard for me to stay in Sweden and work as an engineer and at the same time learn how to speak perfectly fluent Chinese. So I think this, I think Asian parents have a very big focus on like academic success and getting a good job, while my parents in Sweden, they never really actually cared that much about these kind of things. For example, when I was a kid, my handwriting used to be very, very bad. I mean, it still is, but it used to be too. And in school, we had a class where you have to learn how to write beautifully, but my handwriting always really, really sucked. But my parents never mentioned anything about this. They let me go on with my shitty handwriting. So when I was 18, I asked my mother, when I was a kid, weren't you worried that my handwriting was so shitty? Yeah, we were very worried about your handwriting, but the teacher didn't say anything, and we didn't want to hurt your confidence, so we didn't say anything. I think this concept, of not wanting to hurt the kid's confidence, I think it doesn't really exist in Asia. Because, for example, I have a friend and she's very, very smart, and she told me that when she was a kid, and she got an exam, max point of this exam is 100. So she tried really, really hard to make the exam really good, and she get 98 out of 100, so it's a really good test result, right? But the teacher, for every point you are missing for 100, they would slap you, like you get a small punishment like this. And for her, she got 98. It doesn't mean that she's gonna get a lot of praise. It just means that she's gonna get less punishment. She's only gonna be punished 2 times, like. If you get 98 out of 100 on the exam in Sweden, the teacher probably gonna give you ice cream, you're really gonna be like praised like a hero. The biggest shock for me coming here was to find out that the library, we don't have to look very deep to find huge differences. We can just look at the opening times of the library, because the university library sometimes is open 24 hours, especially in the exam period, and for me, I like to start studying early in the morning. So I would go there 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would see so many students, they would be sleeping on the benches because they had been studying the whole night. And if my parents back in Sweden know that I have been studying the whole night, even that the library allows you to study the whole night, they would be really shocked. They would say, this is really, really not good. You should try to have more like a healthy lifestyle. And it's not so important with academic success that you have to sacrifice your life and burn out basically by studying the whole night. And of course, I also have friends in Sweden before an exam that they would sit at home and study the whole night basically. But it was much, much more rare in Sweden, while in Taiwan it seems to be more common, and in Korea it was almost the norm. It was the library would be so crowded even in the middle of the night. So for me, that was really, really a big shock. I was working in the lab in Korea, together with a few Koreans, and the professor in that lab, he would be basically God. Everyone would really look up to him, and when the professor was in the lab, you had to be in the lab at the same time. If the professor stayed until 10 in the evening, the students would stay basically until 10:30. And the professor was very active, he'd do a lot of things in the day. He'd go for some lunch with a business partner, visit some company, or do many things. So the Korean students, of course, didn't want to be in the lab while the professor was not in the lab. So the way they solved this is that they put up on the professor's parking spots, they put up a little secret webcam, so they would always see, the professor's car is coming now, so they would all hurry up. They would write message to each other and hurry up to be back in the lab by that time. So I think this system of strong hierarchy, it helped the Korean students to be very creative of how to avoid being in the lab when the professor was not there. And I wanted to share something that happened in Sweden while I was in school there. So I was something like 11 or 12 years old, and I had art class, and for this class we were supposed to make something out of clay. They would give us a big block of clay, and we can make whatever we want out of this clay. And I wanted to make a mug, I wanted that mug to look like a pair of legs, like a pair of pants for some reason. It was just my idea, you know. So I made it, and after I made the legs, you know, I made a little hole in the top, so there's somewhere where you can drink, you know. And then, of course, on a mug, you need to put something on the side. So my brilliant idea, I thought it was super funny. I'm so sorry because it's a bit inappropriate, but I was like 12 years old at the time, so please don't blame me, okay? But my idea was that I wanted to put a big, like a penis, the penis of the legs, you know, on the side, and that is where you would hold it and you would drink. So I started to make my clay penis, and I would form it as a handle, you know. And I thought it was really clever and really funny. I mean, I was 12, okay. The art teacher came and picked it up. And he looked at it. Of course, he understand what I was trying to do. And he told me that, you know, this is not really good. And me being a rebel, I asked, okay, why don't you think it's good? And he said, because when we put this in the oven later, this penis is gonna fall off because it's too small. You have to make it bigger, you know. So he took some clay and he put it on my penis. I mean the penis of the cup, and then we put it in the oven, and I painted it, and it became very beautiful. And I think it was in the bookcase of my parents for a little while because I thought it was really funny anyway. So even, you know, when I was 12 years old, the art class still let me keep all my creative integrity, even I was a very immature 12-year-old at the time. So I think this also shows, and of course there would be many art teachers in Sweden that would be very, very angry at me and tell me to grow up and make something normal, but this art teacher, at least, he encouraged my creative integrity of making a cup with a penis holder. So I thought it was pretty great. My point today is, you know, that the Western system of education and the Asian system of education can be very different. I don't want to say that one is better than the other. If you look at the pure study result, for example, the PISA test, where they are measuring all the 15-year-olds all over the world for the result. If you look at mathematics, I think Singapore is number 1 and Taiwan is number 4, while Sweden is number 24. So of course, if you just look at the skill of mathematics, the system in Taiwan is working out a lot better, and Taiwan, Korea both have had amazing growth, so I don't want to say anything bad about the system here. And the system in Sweden a little bit softer, more focused on creativity and about the students, you know, finding themselves, a little bit less pressure, seems to be working out for us. And I think, of course, it's important to have high standard for the students and expect good results for the students, but it's also important not to break down the characteristic or break down the morale or the soul of the students, is my opinion. And if you think that this topic about the difference of education system is interesting, I also recorded a podcast where I talk a little bit more in depth about the differences. And if you want to listen to this podcast, it's out already. You can become a member of this channel. There's a button down there that you can push, and the cost is 75 Taiwanese dollars. And this helps me make, you know, this more in-depth podcast about the topic of my video, and I will also make a live video where you can ask me directly questions about anything you want, basically. And please don't forget to subscribe to my video, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.